Hello everybody and welcome to
Comic Gamer Movie Show. As advertised, Seth is here for the spoiler review. We're going to try to keep this at least within 13 minutes, hopefully.
We're going to try. I'm going to give it my best.
And, you know, I gave my score for it, and I'm sitting around 8.5 to a 9. Like, I said, like, I'm going to
come out and say, that's what mine is, too.
So, like, I gave my review. I didn't want to get into any of the specifics. You know, if you want to see that one, you can see that one. But we're going to get into it.
So, let's just start off from the top. This isn't Batman. This is kind of Batman Year One. He's been doing this. He's been the Batman for 2 years.
Yeah.
Gordon isn't the chief. He's not the commissioner yet.
Yeah, Gordon's not even. He's far from.
He's still Captain Gordon.
Yeah, he's a couple stages away from that.
He's not there yet. But he's probably in the next. He's probably going to be the commissioner. I'm sure the mayor's going to appoint him as commissioner. He's been doing this for a couple years. And his first big thing is obviously the Riddler and this whole serial killer thing. That's basically where it starts.
Yeah, and this isn't like and you've never really seen this version of Bruce Wayne because even in Batman Begins, they hinted to it a bit in Batman Begins. You know, there's a sequence where Bruce just kicks out all those people and tells them to go F off, and Alfred's like, dude, you can't do that. But this movie is like that sequence in Batman Begins the entire time because he wants nothing to do with, you know, any of the responsibilities.
He's very reclusive
of being Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he's very, very reclusive, which is, I think I pointed this out in the car the other night when we were getting food. We were like, man, this literally is that perfect example of, like, no one knows you're Batman?
Yeah.
Like...
it's like, you know what? I thought it would bother me more. All disclosure, I went to the movie because I had heard that. I had heard that he's like that in the movie. I just, you look around, something's going to drop.
He's not necessarily emo, though.
I mean, he's emo, but he's not, like, as emo as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he wasn't as emo as I thought.
And while I will say, you're right, it doesn't, like, him being so reclusive for doing this for 2 years
and no one...
Someone would have put that together. Someone would have easily put that together, and you just have to suspend your disbelief.
Very, very suspension disbelief. That's not really a major gripe.
Yeah, really but I'm willing to let that slide just because the way that they played it is he still hasn't figured it out yet. Like I described it in my last video as I like to think of Batman's anger, like his anger towards, for vengeance and towards his parents' death, as like coal inside of him. Yeah. And right now he's so early in being Batman, it's just a raging, thing. He's just all consumed by it.
Because like I said, he's still kind of weird. He's still kind of a brawler at fighting. Apparently Alfred taught him how to fight. So that was a little twist that if you caught
Alfred does teach him how to, like, initially, anyway. Yeah. Then he goes off and learns a whole bunch of other shit.
So this isn't quite, like I said, we're not that far into his career where, to be fair, they might be setting up like he might become this badass fighter.
That's why I have a hard time criticizing.
Because there's a lot of foundation. There's a lot of foundation in this movie. A ton of it. There's a ton of it.
That's why I have a hard time criticizing certain aspects. They could come back to this.
The one thing they do though that is awesome. They finally have done that they really haven't done, and literally in any other Batman is the world's greatest detective.
I mean, they did touch upon it in The Dark Knight. With the bullet thing, with him cutting out the bullet, taking the bullet, testing out all these shells. No, not to this extent. They did touch it.
They very briefly just, touched it.
But this one was
more like he was a detective. He was noticing things that no one else was. He does have some cool technology. He's got like these contact lenses.
And I love that
cameras.
And that's something I pointed out is I love how all his technology feels handmade.
Yeah.
Even the Batmobile feels like something that was could have been built.
I brought that up to you too. That finally grew on me because at first, my very first saw it, I was like, oh, come on, like really? But then I was like, you know what? This is Batman kind of year one. He's been doing this for 2 years. He did put it together by hand, so I'm like, okay. It's growing on
It feels like something like I believed it. I will say this: it's the most believable Batmobile.
It is.
It's the most believable Batmobile. Like I bought.
He doesn't have Lucius Fox yet. He doesn't have any of that yet.
Yeah, I bought that he could make this. That he made this, and they kind of teased it in the background. You saw pieces of it all over the place.
Yeah,
and he was piecing it together slowly.
Pretty much. And so let me just spoil this for you. So. They do drop, if you've read Court of Owls and you've read earlier Batman comics, they do drop the fact that the Waynes aren't as clean. Sorry.
Yeah,
as clean as earlier comics would have you believe. They do kind of drop that. The Riddler is a bit more on the psychoticer side than normal.
The Riddler
isn't all like, that whole breed. Like, if you hate redundant noises, you're not gonna like that.
Well,
but
the Riddler, he's a combination of a couple things. There's a bit of Jigsaw in him because his weird design shit. It's some Jigsaw shit.
It's some Jigsaw shit.
Zodiac, the Zodiac killer. There's a lot of Zodiac killer in him. Like he's a serial
comic
killer.
Riddler is more of just like he's a narcissistic. Like he does have the cool like weird gadgets and shit he makes up. But he's very much a far cry from his comic book counterpart.
There are bits of him in there.
There are bits of him in there, but to be fair, it for what they were going for, it fit. It fit the thing very much.
But near the tail end,
a comic book Riddler in here wouldn't have made sense.
No, it wouldn't have made sense.
It would not have made sense.
But near the tail end, you do start seeing glimpses of that arrogant,
that
like
narcissism.
me. Because up to a certain point throughout the movie. Like, spoiler alert, Riddler, all of the people Riddler are killing are dirty people.
Yeah, they're all dirty people.
They're all dirty people, all of them, and he's trying to expose Gotham's dirty underbelly. You know, something it's been done in many comics, but you know, it's still cool. It still works. It still works.
Yeah, it still works, and it fits the theme, and he really takes like a drastic turn towards the end because literally there's these, apparently Gotham is built under sea level, and there's these floodgates, there's like these things, these dams that keep the water out, and he blows them up.
Yeah.
And it floods central Gotham, I guess that's central Gotham.
Yeah, central Gotham.
I think that's central Gotham. And it floods all of it. I was like, damn, now he just said, fuck it, I'm just going to kill anyone.
He's definitely got the highest body count of any of the villains. Like, he has to have the highest body count.
At this point.
But I will say, near the tail end, he went from, I'm doing this to, for everyone, and we're all together, to me.
Yeah, because at the end, once he realizes that what he did with Batman didn't really have an effect like he thought it would, he fucking goes nuts. He goes crazy. And then you meet the Easter egg that me and Deshaun just kind of went, oh, really?
I will say, that Joker Easter egg was forced.
He meets the Joker in Arkham Asylum. It was very forced. And I was like, oh, come on.
And, really? And it looks like they're going for a prosthetic on his face for his smile, which I'm not sure how I feel about that either.
We don't know. We didn't see, really, we just kind of barely saw.
That's why for a minute I thought it was Two-Face, because I was like, why is his mouth like that?
And that would have been cool, though. It's Two-Face, and it would drop Two-Face, but... Oh well, I guess we haven't met Harvey Dent.
That was a bit unnecessary. That was probably the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. Because it just felt like it didn't have to be there. I didn't know why it was there.
They did it for audience reaction. It felt.
And not to mention, Matt Reeves just come out not that long ago and say that. Oh yeah, well. I put that in there for a tease, but I'm not using the Joker in the next movie.
So why would you do
he even said that the Joker isn't going to be the main protagonist of his next movie, of the sequel. So it's like
kind of one of those. Why would you do it then?
I mean, I guess maybe come back to it. Who knows?
No, I mean, if you're gonna, I guess you just want to cover his bases of like, oh, see, the Joker is here, so I can put him in somewhere else later. And so I don't know. But so basically, that's basically the plot of the movie. Is like he's killing all these dirty people.
Yeah.
And then eventually, they're investigating him, and he's basically, and it also turns out that he was an orphan, and this orphanage that the Waynes were supposed to be funding or something like that.
Yeah.
And when Thomas died, that funding went away because it turns out all of these the chief, the commissioner, not Gordon, the other commissioner,
other one,
Falcone, Penguin, all
the corrupt guys. Penguin was underneath him.
Yeah, he was underneath him.
Penguin's kind of like a lower level person in this
movie, which is kind of cool because that's kind of how he gets his start in the comics. He's under Falcone, and then he goes off and does his own thing. But and then they all like vultures just swoop in and grab this multi-billion-dollar fund from the Waynes after Thomas died, and his father.
And in this version, the person who kind of came out on top
was Falcone.
He ended up taking over everything.
He takes over everything. And then also, the thing, if you don't know, Catwoman is the thing in this movie.
Yes.
Which, me and Sean said, it wasn't bad. It was actually kind of good.
Oh, no. All of our sequences are great.
But literally, if you just take her out, it wouldn't have made much difference.
And I really had a lot of time thinking. This is the most controversial thing I'm probably going to say in the video, because I even put it up, is the Catwoman thing. I actually do think, especially when you hear, I'm not gonna lie, knowing that Catwoman and Penguin are probably gonna have spin-offs.
Yeah.
They're pretty much greenlit to have spin-offs. It kind of does make it feel like you didn't have to have as much of them in this movie because you're gonna do stuff with them anyways.
Which is ironic because they had more Catwoman than the Penguin anyway.
Even the Penguin, it made sense for them to be there. I'm not saying it didn't make sense for them to be there, but they didn't have to be there. And when in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, Penguin, he doesn't have a ton of screen time, so I'm like, you know what? Okay. But Catwoman
has a lot of screen time.
She has a ton of screen time, and in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, you could have cut her scenes out. And I know some people would argue with me about that. Some people would say, "Oh well."
And we're not knocking because she's a great.
When
Catwoman.
I say cut it out, I'm not saying that she is. I'm not saying that she was bad. I'm not saying
not
her and Bruce were bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying out of a 3-hour movie, when you watch a 3-hour movie, you start in your mind kind of going, okay, what could be cut out?
Yeah.
Like if something had to be cut out.
Selina's scenes, most of her, maybe most of her, maybe not all of her. You could have introduced her, and then as that tease of like, oh, Catwoman's a thing, and then but most of her scenes you could have just cut out.
And
that would have saved so much time.
And I know some people might argue, well, then who would Bruce have sent into the club to get the information? You could have replaced her with the woman that was being hunted down anyways.
Yeah, you could have just changed that aspect around.
You could have just had him find
because apparently Falcone kills her, but you could have literally changed the story a little bit to be like, okay, he doesn't get to her, and Bruce finds her before he does, and then there you go.
Yeah,
and that's all you could have really done.
You probably shave off like 20 minutes off the movie.
Yeah.
If you cut out her sequences, and like I said, I know some people might get upset about that. They might be like, we loved her. Why would you take her sequences out?
No, we love her too.
Just wasn't key to the actual plot. Her whole reveal about him being her father and all that.
Falcone is her father.
It's not actually essential to the plot. Yeah. Her entire other than to affect Bruce, to show Bruce that not everything is black and white. Her scenes are not essential to the film.
Nope.
And in my mind, I was like, you could have cut those out, shaved 20 minutes, 20 minutes off the movie.
But we're not saying she was bad. In fact, she was perfect.
Oh, she was great.
She walked like Catwoman. She had that sexy swinging walk. She was hot as fuck. She was athletic. She was a thief. Like, it fit perfect. She was a perfect fit for that mold, and it was amazing to see it done perfectly. Unlike that other movie, I'm not going to bring up. I think I'm having a heart attack. I'm going to talk about that movie. It wasn't like that. So this was very good.
By the way, I hate to point this out, but there is a bit of controversy around this movie.
Oh boy.
Something about people being upset that Catwoman's being portrayed by a black woman and Gordon being portrayed by a black man. I'm not shitting you. There was a lot of shade about that.
No. What is with you fucking comic traditionalists?
What is with you?
They're like,
this isn't fair. Every bad guy was a white guy, even though the guy playing Falcone is
Italian.
Italian. He's very brown Italian too. So, but regardless, we're gonna stick with your narrative there on that.
I just like, as long as I'm not one of those people, man. It's like, the only reason why is because Jim Gordon and Catwoman have been white in the comics for fucking years.
Jim Gordon, I'll give you that. He's pretty much, but Catwoman's been black.
Yeah, she has. So
she's been black.
And if the thing is, who the fuck cares?
Who cares?
If they're playing good characters, who cares?
I just thought that was a funny thing.
I think
I might not have that.
There are very few characters in the comics that
have to be
white. Very few. There's some that have to be white because it wouldn't make sense. It's like, for example, I mean, I've come around to it, but Superman being white doesn't have to actually be a thing. Because he's an alien, he could be any color, it doesn't really matter.
There are a couple characters, I think.
Steve Rogers, Captain America has to be white.
I think so.
Steve Rogers has to be white.
Steve Rogers has to be white because he completely changes the entire story of Captain America if you make him black.
But that's why you made Falcon.
Yeah.
Like Captain America. So that way you had both.
I think, Tony, it's a little hard. It's a little far-fetched to say that the government's #1, weapons guy
Howard Stark was a black guy and his son was a black guy.
It's a little hard for me to buy that. I'll give you that one. But like,
there's a few. But at the same time, it's like, for most characters, who the fuck cares? Literally, the first thing we look at...
how we said 13 minutes. We're
at 13 minutes? We're at, yeah. But
all right, we're done with the rambling there. You give a score.
I give it an 8.5. My biggest... I'm going to give my negatives real quick. A little too long. Catwoman shit could have been cut out, but I'm glad... Like I said, she wasn't bad. Not saying it could have been cut out. The breathing, that's more of a me thing. Because that shit really bothered me. And Joker's drop. That shit just really pissed me off. I'm just like, you didn't have to do that, but okay, I guess he's here now, so... After
a little bit of contemplation, I know I gave it a 9, but I might bump it down to an 8.5. After a little bit of thinking...
It's just too long.
It's because, like, I said 9 because I got home, and I did my spoiler-free review, and it's fresh on my mind. I was like, you know what, this is a 9. Then I sat on it, slept on it, got on it, I'm like, I mean... It's 8.5 because some of those aspects of it did really...
It's a damn good movie. Go out and see it.
It's still a damn good movie.
Just don't...
Still great.
If you get a drink...
Is it a masterpiece?
No.
Is it better than The Dark Knight? Probably not. And this is coming from the guy who made a whole video talking about The Dark Knight being overrated. So if I'm saying it's not better than The Dark Knight,
I would say it's right under The Dark Knight.
It's not that
very
far.
close.
It's right there. I think it's better than Batman Begins.
It's just too damn long. It's just really long, dude. Like, to justify a 3-hour Batman movie, I just can't see it. I can't see it. I just can't vision a 3-hour Batman movie.
That length did get to me. I haven't, and you know what? By the time it ended, I was like, okay.
By the way, just a disclaimer. Either, if you get a drink, take tiny sips, or go to the bathroom prior, because your bladder will be screaming at you by the end of it. Granted, I went to the bathroom before we went, so I was kind of in the clear. I don't know about you.
I had to hold it.
Yeah, okay, so there you go.
It hit me at hour 2, like 2 hours into the movie. It hit me, and I was like, okay, here we go.
So, disclaimer, please just, if you get a drink, take small sips, or go to the bathroom before.
I just this up, so for 2 minutes over it.
So anyway, guys, 8.5, still a damn good movie. Please go out and see it. Just take those precautions. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us on
Comic Game Movie Show.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of us in the future, and we shall see you
on the next one.
Goodbye.